Captain Sarah Chen floated through the cramped corridors of the salvage vessel Rusty Bucket, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal deck plates. The ship wasn't much to look at, but it had served her crew well for the past 5 years, hunting through the asteroid fields and abandoned space stations for anything valuable enough to sell. "Captain, you need to see this," called Marcus Rodriguez from the sensor station. His voice carried an excitement that made Sarah push off the nearest bulkhead and drift toward the bridge faster than usual. The view screen showed something that made Sarah's breath catch in her throat. Floating in the void between two massive asteroids was a starship unlike anything in the human databases. The vessel stretched nearly 2 kilometers in length, its hull covered in what looked like crystalline growths that caught and reflected the distant starlight. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, and even from this distance, Sarah could see that it was completely dark. No running lights, no energy signatures, nothing. "How long has it been drifting here?" Sarah asked, settling into her captain's chair. "From the orbital mechanics, I'd say at least 50 years, Marcus replied, his fingers dancing over his console. "Maybe longer. The weird part is, there's no damage visible on the hull. No signs of battle, no meteor impacts, nothing." Tom Bradley, their engineer and the oldest member of the crew, let out a low whistle. "That's definitely not human tech. Look at those hull patterns. They're too complex, too organic." Sarah nodded, studying the alien vessel. Humanity had been exploring space for over 2 centuries, but they'd never encountered another intelligent species. There were theories, of course, and plenty of science fiction stories, but this was the first real proof that humans weren't alone in the universe. "Any life signs?" she asked. "Negative," replied Dr. Lisa Park, their science officer. "No heat signatures, no electromagnetic emissions, nothing that suggests active systems. It's completely dead." Sarah made her decision quickly. In the salvage business, hesitation meant someone else got the prize. "Prep the shuttle. We're going aboard." The shuttle bay of the alien ship was enormous, easily large enough to hold a dozen human vessels the size of the Rusty Bucket. As their small craft settled onto the deck with a soft thump, Sarah and her team could see their breath-forming clouds in the shuttle's cabin. The alien ship's atmosphere had long since leaked away, leaving only the cold vacuum of space. The airlock cycled, and the 4 humans stepped into the most amazing sight any of them had ever witnessed. The shuttle bay walls were covered in the same crystalline growths they'd seen on the exterior, but up close, they could see that the crystals formed intricate patterns that seemed to flow and move when viewed from different angles. "The architecture is incredible," Lisa whispered into her comm, taking readings with her scanner. "These crystals aren't decorative, they're integral to the ship's structure. It's like the entire vessel was grown rather than built." They made their way deeper into the ship, following corridors that curved and branched in ways that seemed to follow no human logic. The walls were smooth and seamless, with no visible joints or welds. Everything was covered in a thin layer of what looked like frost, glittering in the light from their helmet lamps. "Captain," Tom called out from ahead, "you need to see this." He was standing in front of what was clearly a control room. The space was vast, with a domed ceiling that showed the star field outside through some kind of transparent material. In the center of the room sat a circular platform covered with what had once been control surfaces, now dark and lifeless. But it was the bodies that made them all stop and stare. There were dozens of them scattered around the control room and slumped over various stations. The aliens were tall and thin, with elongated limbs and heads that seemed too large for their bodies. Their skin was a pale blue-gray color, and they wore what looked like form-fitting suits covered in the same crystalline patterns as the ship. "They didn't die violently," Lisa observed, kneeling beside one of the bodies. "No signs of trauma, no weapons visible. It's like they just stopped." Sarah moved to what seemed like the central command station. The alien who had been sitting there was slumped forward, its long fingers still touching the control surface. She looked around the bridge, trying to understand what had happened here. "Run full scans on everything," she ordered. "I want to know what killed them, what this ship was designed for, and most importantly, if there's anything here we can use." Over the next several hours, they explored more of the massive vessel. They found living quarters filled with strange furniture designed for the aliens' unusual proportions, laboratories containing equipment they couldn't begin to understand, and storage areas filled with materials that didn't appear in any human periodic table. But the most important discovery came when Tom managed to access what appeared to be the ship's power core. "Captain, this is impossible," he said, his voice filled with wonder. "This power system, I can't even begin to understand how it works. It's not fusion, not antimatter, not anything we've ever seen. But the energy readings suggest this thing could power a small city for centuries." "Is it safe?" Sarah asked. "As far as I can tell, yes. It's been running on some kind of standby mode this whole time. The power levels are incredibly low, but the core itself is stable." Sarah made another quick decision. "We're claiming this ship. Tom, see if you can figure out how to get basic systems online. Marcus, start documenting everything we find. Lisa, I want a full analysis of those alien bodies. Carefully. We need to understand what happened here." As they worked, a picture began to emerge. The ship's design was clearly meant for long-range exploration, possibly even intergalactic travel. The aliens had been incredibly advanced, with technology that surpassed humanity's best efforts by centuries or possibly millennia. But something had gone wrong. Lisa's analysis of the bodies suggested that the aliens had died from some kind of systemic failure. Not disease, not poison, but as if their bodies had simply stopped functioning all at once. "It's like someone turned off a switch," she explained to Sarah as they stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. "One moment they were alive and operating this incredible ship, the next moment they were gone." Tom's voice crackled over the comm from somewhere deep in the ship's engineering section. "Captain, I think I found something. You need to get down here." They found him standing in front of what was clearly the ship's central computer core. Unlike everything else they'd seen, this room was warm, and several crystalline panels glowed with a soft blue light. "I managed to activate some kind of emergency protocol," Tom explained. "The computer started up and began running diagnostics. But Captain, what I'm seeing here, this ship isn't just advanced. It's been deliberately sabotaged." "Sabotaged how?" Sarah asked. Tom pointed to a series of displays that showed incomprehensible alien symbols. "The computer logs show that the crew detected some kind of critical failure in their navigation systems. They were lost, not just in space but in time. According to these readings, they were supposed to arrive at their destination over 3,000 years ago." 3,000 years? Lisa's voice was barely a whisper. "The crew tried everything they could think of to fix the problem, but they were stuck in some kind of temporal distortion. They eventually ran out of options and decided to put the ship into hibernation mode, hoping that someone would eventually find them and figure out how to get them home." Sarah stared at the alien displays, trying to process what she was hearing. "So they died waiting for rescue?" "It looks that way. But here's the really interesting part. Their navigation system was designed to interface with any sufficiently advanced technology. The computer has been analyzing our shuttle's systems since we docked, and it thinks it can adapt to work with human technology." "You mean we could actually fly this thing?" Tom grinned. "I mean, we could do a lot more than that, Captain. This ship has capabilities we can't even imagine. Faster-than-light travel that makes our best engines look like steam-powered rockets. Weapon systems that could level a planet. Defensive shields that could stop anything humanity has ever built." Sarah walked to the center of the room and looked up at the alien text scrolling across the displays. She thought about Earth. about humanity struggling to expand beyond their home solar system with primitive chemical rockets and fusion drives. She thought about the wars still being fought over resources and territory, about the corporate factions that controlled most of human space. Tom, how long would it take you to figure out how to interface our systems with theirs? With Lisa's help analyzing the alien technology, maybe 6 months, maybe less if we can get some additional equipment shipped out here. Sarah made her third major decision of the day, and the one that would change everything. Do it. We're going to learn how to fly this ship, and then we're going home. Humanity deserves better than what we've got. And I think these aliens just gave us the tools to make that happen. As they worked to secure the alien vessel and prepare it for the long process of integration with human technology, none of them could have imagined the impact their discovery would have. They were salvage workers, not heroes. But they had just found something that would make humanity a force to be reckoned with in the galaxy. The aliens had called their ship the Vethkari, which roughly translated to Hope's End. But Sarah had already decided on a new name for their prize, the Phoenix. Because sometimes the most beautiful things rose from the ashes of someone else's dreams. 8 months had passed since the discovery of the alien vessel, and the asteroid field had become humanity's most closely guarded secret. Captain Sarah Chen stood in what had once been the alien bridge, but the space now looked dramatically different. Human equipment filled every available surface, cables snaked across the crystalline walls, and the air hummed with the sound of machinery that definitely hadn't come from Earth. Tom Bradley emerged from beneath a control panel, his face streaked with grease and his eyes bright with excitement. "The last neural interface is online, Captain. We're ready for the final integration test." Sarah nodded, looking around at the incredible transformation they'd accomplished. The process hadn't been easy. It had required calling in favors from across the outer colonies, smuggling in equipment without attracting attention from the corporate fleets, and working 18-hour days in the cold vacuum of space. But the results were beyond anything they had imagined. Dr. Lisa Park approached from the science station, now a hybrid creation that combined alien crystalline technology with human quantum computers. "The translation protocols are functioning perfectly," she reported. "The ship's computer is not only communicating with our systems, it's actively learning from them and improving its own capabilities." What they had discovered was that the alien technology wasn't just advanced, it was adaptive. The crystalline structures that covered the ship weren't merely decorative or structural. They were a form of programmable matter that could reconfigure itself based on need and available resources. When exposed to human technology and thinking patterns, the ship had begun to evolve. The result was something unprecedented in human history, a vessel that combined the best of both species' innovations. Marcus Rodriguez called out from his station at the navigation console. "Jump drive calculations are complete, Captain. We can reach Earth in 3 days instead of 3 months." Sarah smiled. The original alien faster-than-light drive had been impressive, but when combined with human navigational computers and mathematical models, it became something extraordinary. The aliens had designed their technology to work across vast galactic distances over periods of thousands of years. Humans, with their impatient nature and rapid technological development cycles, had optimized it for quick, precise jumps. But the ship's transformation went far beyond simple technical improvements. The Phoenix now bristled with weapons that would have been impossible with either human or alien technology alone. The aliens had possessed energy manipulation capabilities that could turn starlight itself into destructive beams. Humans had contributed targeting systems, tactical computers, and a level of strategic thinking that the peaceful exploration-focused aliens had never developed. The defensive systems were equally impressive. The original alien shields could absorb incredible amounts of energy, but they were designed to protect against natural hazards like cosmic radiation and asteroid impacts. Human military engineers had reconfigured them to stop everything from kinetic projectiles to nuclear warheads. "Captain," Tom said, wiping his hands on a rag, "I've been thinking about what we found in the alien computer cores. About why they were really out here." Sarah turned to face him. Over the months of working together, Tom had become much more than just an engineer. His insights into the alien technology had been crucial to their success. "The official logs said they were explorers," Tom continued, "but I've been digging deeper into the encrypted files. These aliens weren't just exploring, they were running. Running from what? From something called the hegemony. Near as I can translate, it's some kind of galactic empire that conquers other species and either enslaves them or wipes them out entirely. The aliens who built this ship were trying to escape to another galaxy entirely." Lisa looked up from her station. That would explain the temporal distortion that trapped them. They were trying to make an impossible jump across intergalactic space. And something went wrong. Sarah felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold of space. "Are you telling me there's a hostile alien empire out there?" "Was," Tom corrected. "According to the computer records, this all happened over 3,000 years ago. The hegemony might be long gone by now. Or they might have conquered the entire galaxy," Marcus added grimly. Sarah walked to the main view screen, which now displayed a perfect fusion of alien sensory technology and human tactical analysis. She could see not just the asteroid field around them, but energy signatures, gravitational anomalies, and potential threats across a sphere of space that stretched for light years in every direction. "There's only one way to find out," she decided. "We go home. We tell Earth what we found, and we prepare for whatever might be coming." The next day, they conducted their final systems test. Sarah settled into the captain's chair, which had been rebuilt to accommodate human physiology while maintaining its connection to the ship's neural networks. When she placed her hands on the control surfaces, she could feel the vast intelligence of the ship responding to her thoughts. It was an incredible sensation. The Phoenix wasn't just a machine, it was almost alive, its alien technology having adapted and learned from human patterns of thought and behavior. When Sarah wanted to know their position, the information appeared in her mind without her having to look at a display. When she thought about potential threats, the ship's sensors automatically began scanning for dangerous energy signatures. "All systems green," reported Tom from the engineering station. "Navigation ready," added Marcus. "Weapons and defenses online," confirmed Lisa from the tactical station they had installed. Sarah took a deep breath and initiated the jump sequence. The sensation was unlike anything she had ever experienced. With human faster-than-light drives, there was always a moment of disorientation as the ship transitioned from normal space to hyperspace. With the Phoenix, the jump felt as natural as taking a step forward. The view screen showed the familiar blue-white vortex of hyperspace, but overlaid with data streams and analysis that let them see far more than any human ship had ever been able to perceive. They could track other vessels, detect gravitational anomalies, and even monitor subspace communications across vast distances. "Jump successful," Marcus reported, though there was amazement in his voice. "We're making incredible time. At this rate, we'll reach Earth in 2 days instead of 3. During the journey home, they continued to explore the ship's capabilities. In the cargo bays, they found manufacturing systems that could create almost anything they needed from raw materials, the alien equivalent of 3D printing, but operating at the molecular level and capable of producing everything from simple tools to complex computer components. The ship's medical bay was equally impressive. The aliens had possessed healing technology that could repair almost any injury or disease, but it was designed for their specific biology. When combined with human medical knowledge and adapted for human physiology, it became something revolutionary. "This could eliminate aging," Lisa said as she studied the medical systems. "Not just extend human life, but actually reverse the aging process." Cancer, genetic diseases, traumatic injuries, all of it becomes treatable. But perhaps the most important discovery came when Tom found the ship's manufacturing protocols buried deep in the computer cores. The Phoenix hadn't just been an exploration vessel. It had been designed to build other ships like itself. The aliens were planning to establish a hidden colony somewhere beyond the reach of their enemies, Tom explained. One ship would arrive, then use local resources to build others, gradually creating an entire fleet. How many ships could it build? Sarah asked. Theoretically, there's no limit as long as there are sufficient raw materials. And with the manufacturing improvements we've made, Tom paused to run calculations. We could build a fleet that would make every Earth Navy look like a collection of rowboats. As they approached Earth, Sarah found herself thinking about the implications of what they had discovered. Humanity had always been divided, corporate factions fighting over resources, colonies struggling for independence, endless conflicts over territory and ideology. But the Phoenix represented something different. It was proof that cooperation between different technologies, different ways of thinking, could create something greater than either could achieve alone. The aliens had been incredibly advanced, but their peaceful nature had made them vulnerable to conquest. Humans were innovative and adaptable, but limited by their primitive technology. Together, the combination was unstoppable. The approach to Earth was nerve-wracking. Sarah knew that their modified ship would trigger every defense system in the solar system. She opened a communication channel as soon as they were in range. Earth Traffic Control, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the salvage vessel Rusty Bucket. We are approaching in a non-human vessel and request immediate conference with Earth Defense Command. The response was immediate and predictable. Unknown vessel, you are ordered to halt and prepare to be boarded. Any attempt to approach Earth will be met with force. Sarah smiled grimly. She had expected this reaction. Earth Defense, I suggest you contact Admiral Morrison personally. Tell him that Sarah Chen has found something that will change everything. Tell him that humanity just got its hands on technology that makes us equals with anyone else who might be out there. The silence stretched for long minutes. Then Admiral Morrison's voice came over the channel personally. Sarah, is that really you in that monster ship? Hello, Admiral. Yes, it's me, and you're right, this is a monster. But it's our monster now. Permission to come home? Granted. But Sarah, I hope you know what you're doing. That ship of yours just lit up every sensor we have. If it's hostile, it's not hostile, Admiral. It's hope. Humanity's hope for a future where we don't have to worry about being the weakest species in the galaxy. As the Phoenix settled into Earth orbit, Sarah looked out at the blue-green planet that had given birth to humanity. Soon, everything would change. The technology they had discovered would revolutionize human civilization, but it would also bring new challenges and new responsibilities. The galaxy was vast and potentially dangerous, but humanity was no longer alone, and they were no longer defenseless. The real test would come when they encountered whatever else might be waiting out there in the dark between the stars. 3 years after the return of the Phoenix, the Sol system had become unrecognizable. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the command deck of the newly constructed Earth Defense Station, watching as the latest batch of Phoenix-class ships completed their trials in the outer asteroid belt. Each vessel was a masterpiece of human-alien hybrid technology, more powerful than entire fleets from the old era. Humanity had learned quickly. The manufacturing protocols from the original alien ship had allowed them to construct not just warships, but orbital habitats, mining platforms, and even terraforming equipment. The Sol system now bristled with defensive installations, each one powered by the same incredible energy technology that had amazed Tom Bradley on that first day. But the most impressive change was in humanity itself. The medical technology from the Phoenix had eliminated disease and aging. The neural interface systems had enhanced human intelligence and reaction times. The manufacturing capabilities had ended scarcity and want across all of human space. For the first time in history, humanity was united under a single banner, not through conquest, but through shared purpose and unlimited abundance. "Admiral," called Commander Rodriguez from the communications station, "we're receiving a priority transmission from the Deep Space Monitoring Array." Sarah turned from the viewport, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to process information far faster than any baseline human could have managed. "Put it through." The holographic display showed the face of Dr. Lisa Park, now director of the Outer System Research Station. Her expression was grim. "Sarah, we've detected something. Multiple faster-than-light signatures approaching from the galactic core. The energy patterns don't match anything in our databases, but they're definitely artificial." Sarah felt her heart rate increase, though her enhanced physiology kept her emotions under strict control. They had all known this day would come, eventually. The galaxy was too vast for humanity to be the only spacefaring species, and the records from the alien ship had warned them that not all galactic civilizations were peaceful. "How many contacts?" she asked. 57 distinct signatures. And Sarah? "They're big. Some of these ships are over 10 kilometers long." Sarah activated the general alert system. Across the Sol system, defensive platforms came online, ships changed course to intercept positions, and billions of humans received their first notification that contact with hostile aliens was imminent. Within hours, the approaching fleet had dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. The images transmitted back by the monitoring satellites showed vessels that were clearly designed for war. Angular, aggressive designs covered in weapon ports and armored plating. The lead ship transmitted a message in a language that the translation computers recognized from the Phoenix's databases. It was the same language spoken by the hegemony. "Primitive species of the third planet," the message began. "You have been found in possession of stolen technology belonging to the Vethkari rebels. Surrender the vessel and its contents immediately, or face the consequences of defying the hegemony." Sarah smiled grimly. The alien computer records had been accurate. The hegemony still existed, and they had somehow tracked the Phoenix to Earth. But they clearly had no idea what humanity had done with their stolen technology. She opened a response channel. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth Defense Command. The technology you refer to was salvaged from a derelict vessel containing only the dead. We claim it by right of salvage under interstellar law." The response was immediate and hostile. "There is no law but hegemony law, primitive. You have one of your time units to comply, or we will take the technology by force and eliminate your species as an example to others who would steal from us." Sarah closed the channel and turned to her staff. "All ships to battle stations. Activate the Sol defense grid and get me a tactical analysis of the enemy fleet." The analysis came back quickly, and it wasn't encouraging. The hegemony ships were larger, more numerous, and their energy signatures suggested weapons capabilities that would have easily destroyed the old Earth fleets. But that was before humanity had learned to combine their innovation with alien technology. "Their ships are impressive," reported the tactical officer, "but they're using the same basic technology we found on the Phoenix. They haven't advanced much in 3,000 years. Whereas we've had 3 years to improve on it," Sarah mused. "What's our assessment?" "Individual ship to ship. We're evenly matched. But they have us outnumbered 3-1. Sarah nodded. "Then we don't fight ship to ship. Tom, are the special modifications ready?" Tom Bradley's voice came over the comm from the main engineering station. "All ships are equipped and ready, Admiral. The hegemony is about to learn why you don't mess with human ingenuity." The battle began when the hegemony fleet opened fire with energy weapons that could have cracked a planet's surface. But instead of striking the human ships, the beams were absorbed by defensive fields that glowed brightly and then redirected the energy back toward the attackers. The aliens had powerful shields, but they had never encountered weapons that turned their own attacks against them. The first hegemony ships to fire found themselves struck by their own energy beams, their shields overloading and their hulls cracking under the unexpected assault. But the real surprise came when the human ships activated their enhanced stealth systems. The aliens had cloaking technology, but it was designed to hide from their own sensors. Human engineers had studied the technology and realized that it could be improved dramatically by combining it with techniques developed for radar stealth and electronic warfare. The result was invisibility so complete that the human ships might as well have been ghosts. The hegemony fleet found itself fighting an enemy they couldn't see, couldn't track, and couldn't predict. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck with devastating precision, and vanished again before the aliens could respond. "This is impossible," came the transmission from the hegemony command ship. "Your technology is primitive. How are you doing this?" Sarah opened a response channel. "You're right. Our technology was primitive, but we learned from yours and then we made it better. That's what humans do. We adapt, we improve, and we never give up." The battle continued for hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The hegemony had superior numbers, but humanity had superior tactics, superior technology, and something the aliens had never encountered before: the ability to think creatively under pressure. Human ships used the asteroid belt as cover, turning space rocks into kinetic weapons. They coordinated their attacks with a precision that the individual alien ship captains couldn't match. And when the hegemony tried to retreat, they found their escape routes blocked by human ships that had anticipated their movements. In the end, only a handful of hegemony vessels escaped, fleeing back toward the galactic core with news that would shake their empire to its foundations. The aftermath of the battle brought both celebration and sobering realization. Humanity had won their first interstellar war, but it was clear that this was only the beginning. The hegemony controlled vast territories across the galaxy, and they would not forget this defeat. But Sarah wasn't worried. As she stood on the observation deck of the Phoenix, looking out at the wreckage of the enemy fleet, she thought about the journey that had brought them to this point. 3 years ago, she had been a simple salvage captain. Now she was the defender of human civilization against galactic threats. Dr. Park joined her at the viewport. "The analysis of the captured hegemony ships is complete," she reported. "Their technology is impressive, but it's essentially unchanged from what we found on the original alien vessel. They've been using the same designs for thousands of years." No innovation, Sarah mused. No adaptation. They conquered through superior numbers and overwhelming force, but they never had to evolve their technology to meet new challenges. Exactly. And that's why they lost. They expected to find primitives with chemical rockets and nuclear weapons. Instead, they found humans who had taken their own technology and made it better. Tom's voice came over the comm system. "Admiral, we've finished analyzing the hegemony computer cores. You're going to want to see this." In the intelligence center, holographic displays showed star maps covering half the galaxy. Red markers indicated hegemony territory, a vast empire that controlled thousands of worlds and enslaved dozens of species. But scattered throughout the empire were other markers: hidden colonies of species that had escaped hegemony control, rebels fighting guerrilla campaigns, and worlds that had successfully resisted conquest. "The hegemony isn't as strong as they want us to believe," Tom explained. "They're facing uprisings across their territory. Their military is spread thin, and their economy is struggling to support their massive war machine." Sarah studied the displays, her enhanced mind already formulating plans. "Then it's time to even the odds. How long would it take to build a fleet capable of challenging their core territories?" "With our current manufacturing capacity, 2 years. Maybe less if we can establish additional shipyards." "Do it. But first, we send a message to every rebel group, every escaped colony. Every species fighting for their freedom. Sarah's voice was filled with determination. "Tell them that humanity stands with them. Tell them that the age of hegemony oppression is coming to an end." Over the following months, human ships began appearing throughout hegemony space. They brought weapons and technology to rebel groups, evacuated threatened populations, and struck at hegemony military installations with devastating effectiveness. The aliens who had built the Phoenix had been peaceful explorers, but they had inadvertently given humanity the tools to become something else entirely, liberators of the galaxy. Each battle taught the humans something new. They learned to adapt their tactics to different environments, to work with alien allies whose biology and psychology were completely different from their own, and to wage war on a scale that spanned multiple star systems. But most importantly, they learned to inspire hope. Species that had been enslaved for centuries began to believe that freedom was possible. Worlds that had never known anything but hegemony rule started to dream of independence. And across the galaxy, the message spread that there was a new power in the universe, one that fought not for conquest, but for liberation. The final confrontation came when a human fleet arrived at the hegemony capital world. The ancient alien empire had ruled for 10,000 years, growing fat and complacent on the labor of enslaved species. They had never faced an enemy that could match their technology and exceed their tactical abilities. The battle for the capital was brief but decisive. Human ships, now accompanied by vessels from dozens of liberated species, overwhelmed the hegemony's defenses through superior coordination and innovative tactics. The empire that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia fell in a single day. Standing on the bridge of the Phoenix. As the last hegemony stronghold surrendered, Sarah thought about the aliens who had built the ship. They had tried to escape from oppression and had died in the attempt. But their sacrifice had not been in vain. Humanity had found their vessel and transformed it into something its creators never could have imagined. Not just a ship, but a symbol of hope for every species yearning for freedom. The galaxy would never be the same. And as human ships began the long journey home, carrying with them delegations from hundreds of newly liberated worlds, Sarah knew that this was only the beginning of humanity's story among the stars. The aliens had abandoned their ship, thinking it worthless in the face of impossible odds. But humans had taken that worthless vessel and made it invincible, not through superior firepower, but through the one thing that no empire could ever conquer, the unbreakable human spirit.